So it remains for me to bring you up to date on what's been happening over the last 3 or 4 years. First point I want to make here is, with a vengeance, I think the partnership, which is the hallmark of MMV, has been extended and expanded. We've now had in total 7 calls for proposals over the 10 years, and bar one, every one of those has yielded more than 100 applications from various groups. And the one that didn't make 100 actually got to 86, so it didn't do too badly, which means we've had 750 in total. And as a result of that and the input of ESAC, MMV has partnered, or is currently partnering, with 132 organisations, the last time I did a count, in 43 different countries. And most important of all, that includes 20, and we hope counting, pharmaceutical companies, for-profit organisations who are keen to help us in our work. Second point I want to make in terms of the last 2 or 3 years is that the important high quality of the science that goes into the work that is done in MMV has been maintained. Each year ESAC until now has made a recommendation in terms of project of the year, and the leaders of that project selected that year are invited to the stakeholder meeting, which is normally held in a disease endemic country in the middle of the year, to give a presentation. I've been privileged to hear every single one of those presentations, and I can say to you, I have always been most impressed by 2 things. One is the quality of that work that we're hearing about. It really is first class, but perhaps even more so, and echoing the comments that Bridget made a moment ago, by the enthusiasm of the people that are actually carrying those projects. They are as determined as we are, if humanly possible, to deliver the sort of outcome that we would like to see. Bridget has already commented that 2004-05, the stakeholders, bless their hearts, had sustained where possible their contributions. The important news is that they're still doing so. And at this moment, meaning about 2 or 3 weeks ago, we can say we are heading towards either receiving or having been pledged nearly $1.5 billion. No mean achievement, I think, particularly in the world as it is at the moment. So thank you, stakeholders. Needless to say, with lots of activities, the spend has gone up. The early days, it struggled to get up to $10 million a year. It continues to rise. It's probably now plateauing somewhere between $55 and $60 million a year. That's good. But what's better? MMV just more recently has appointed an executive vice president for business development. And one of the challenges that he's been working on, that we've been on about for years, but no one ever got round to doing in any sort of detail, is to use his knowledge and experience of and expertise of what goes on in industry to give us some sort of flavour as to how much in the way of resources, gifts in kind and all the other things are actually being delivered by the for-profit pharmaceutical partners that we have. And what's emerging from that analysis, ballpark figures, very, very similar. Almost for every dollar that we spend of public sector and private charity stakeholder money, we're getting the equivalent of $1 from these guys, which is exactly what MMV was created to achieve and exactly what the private sector is delivering along with the public sector. So that's very important indeed. Some comment was made in the film already, most recently, I think, to an extent, success breeding success. The group are now being challenged for a whole wider range of things of products to deliver than are required simply, says he, to control existing cases of malaria. There's a clear need for replacement for SP, for intermittent preventative treatment of falciparum malaria, a better and increasing understanding of just how serious Vivax malaria actually is against falciparum. It was very much the Cinderella malaria disease. A challenge from the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. It's about time the world did something to have another crack at getting rid of malaria. And if you're going to do that, you need a whole range of products over and above those that we have, particularly to interfere with the ability of this laddie to bite me, get my malaria parasite, replicate those parasites, and then go and bite Linda there and make sure she gets a nice lot of parasites. You need special additional products if you're going to do that. And then finally, nasty news started appearing about 18 months ago Not so much treatment failures initially in Cambodia, but parasite and fever clearance times were starting to extend, which is normally an indication that something is beginning to go wrong. It's pretty clear, ultimately, unfortunately, ladies and gentlemen, the ACTs, the artemisinin combination therapies, are going to go the way of chloroquine. So we have to start worrying. It's not just now, but it's going to come before too much longer. But don't worry, the good news I put on the bottom of the slide, the R&D team under Tim Wells has already, and nicely, I think, without any dramas, it just happens, and we all can be very, very pleased, the portfolio has been expanded to accommodate those requirements. So MMV now has a portfolio with over 50 projects from discovery to development. Nicely balanced, and I can assure you it's the largest and most extensive portfolio of projects for new antimalarials that there's ever been. The last high points, World War II, war in Korea, war in Vietnam. Isn't it wonderful, ladies and gentlemen, when we sit here in the Red Cross building, that we can say the high point now, which is much higher than any of the others that were ever achieved, is not for a military purpose, but it's for a peaceful purpose. It's to help the people that live in malaria-endemic countries get rid of their malaria. It's got to be a much better motivator than anything else. And of course, last year, back end of last year, close run thing, December 2008, I think it was, one of our very important partners, Novartis, got the regulatory approval, as you've heard already, for their dispersible formulation of Coartem. This is a fixed dose combination of lumefantrine and artemether. As mentioned already, a very special product because specifically it's been developed with the infants and children in mind in Africa who get malaria. Adults do, but the big target populations were specifically built into the R&D program right from the beginning, and the regulatory approvals right from the beginning include all those important groups. It's a 3-day dosing regimen. You get rapid parasite clearance, you get rapid elimination of the fever. And that's good, because what it means is the kids are up and about and running around like kids like to do very, very quickly indeed. The whole dossier has been checked out by a stringent regulatory authority, in this case Swissmedic, and the product is costing well under 50 cents to treat a child. Baroness Chalker, ladies and gentlemen, I think Bridget and I would say to you, it's been a tough 10 years for MMV. The pathway has not always been as straightforward as it might have been, and certainly it ain't been very well signposted in some instances. But we would say to you that MMV, we think, is now poised to contribute to the discovery and development of essential medicines, not only to treat, to control existing cases of malaria, but to play its role in eliminating and ultimately eradicating that scourge of mankind from the face of the earth. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very, very much.